Okay,
Let me talk to Paul. Let me talk to Paul. He's the only person here I know. How are you?
I'm very well, how are you?
You recovered from the 80s quite yet?
Just about. Paul Simper Buzz magazine. Lady Gaga has apparently asked for a rider for her next sort of show over here for Union Jack Bunting and Pim served in bone china teacups.
Mm-hmm.
For an illustrious tour like this, what will be your backstage rider?
Oh my God, if it was boring before. My backstage rider is normally the same. It's some stuff that people can come in and eat when I'm having, well, if they're bored, my friends come backstage and eat the stuff that's in my room. But I don't eat very much or demand very much. I think I have flowers. I think so. But I certainly don't specify which flowers or... No, I have a very, very cheap rider.
Will there be any duets as well on this tour?
I'm hoping for some pretty amazing ones, yeah, but because the artists aren't confirmed, I can't really say that.
James Corden.
okay,
No, he can sing, we all know he can sing now.
okay. Yes, this fellow here right now, why not?
Hi George, Mark from The People.
Hi.
I'm a huge fan of yours and it's great to be here today. You talk about making up for lost time, and I think that before the 25 Live tour you hadn't toured for about 10 years, is that right? 17 years. What has brought you around to the way of thinking that you should get out of the house more now and do what you do best? Because I think a lot of people have wanted to see you, you know...
Well, I mean, you know, what was going to be a 3-month tour eventually was a 3-year tour. And there was a simple reason for that, which is I absolutely loved it, you know. I've found a new relationship with being on stage and I've kind of come to terms with some of the things I was very afraid of 17 years previous to the last tour. I guess the last tour being 1990, I think it was before that. I really had felt the pressure of touring, especially having only known the experience with Andrew, which was always a laugh. So I think the time that I gave it up, I really believed it was the right thing to do. And then when I went out on tour again, I was so overwhelmed by how different it felt. And what it was to go out on tour with a catalogue spanning almost 25 years at that time. Well, it did span 25 years. It was a very different thing. It was a much more celebratory atmosphere than I'd ever expected. So I felt a huge amount of loyalty and affection for those people who came to see me, and it encouraged me to tour for the next 3 years. And in terms of recovery from a very, very long period of grief and kind of self-abuse in certain ways, although obviously it never got that bad because I never missed a show, I never once missed an encore, I don't think. But in terms of trying to kind of stay on the straight and narrow, as it were, then there's nothing better than work that you love. And so I thought I should tour sooner rather than later to keep that, have that impetus, keep driving me to take care of myself and to appreciate what I have, and more than anything to actually, it's such an amazing thing to watch the effect on my audience of an evening's entertainment. There's no question that is probably the most valuable thing I can ever do in terms of contribution. And it seems that God wanted me to. He gave me the voice to do it and the stamina to do it, I suppose, at my age. So yeah, I thought it's the most positive experience you've had in, say, the last 20 years. Why wait, you know? So as soon as I could start organising, I did.
Okay, there's a chap over there with a very high reach, so why don't we acknowledge him?
I've got no reach.
Hi, it's Dan from RTL Germany. Very excited about the dates there. I know everybody will be.
George is very good.
George, you were quoted in the press recently saying that you were too embarrassing to be a father, but surely that's one of the most fun things about being a father, is the dad jokes, and you're quite candid. And you were saying you've got more energy and, you know, a lot to give. So do you think you'll reconsider the fact that you said it was a resolute no for children when you saw how happy Zachary has made Elton and David?
It's another tweet, I'm afraid.
Okay.
It's a great answer, that, isn't it? It's great. It's so diplomatic.
That's right, it is.
I won't say it here, but I'll say it.
That's right. Okay, let's go over here, woman on the aisle.
Hello, it's Marcia from OK Magazine.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi, I noticed that you've duetted over the years with some equally incredible artists, and I just wondered who have been some of your favourites and why.
Well, you can't really do that without offending the others, can you? I can't say that any of them were more or less thrilling. They were always, you know, everybody that I've sung with has been great to work with. I've been very pleased with the results of each one. So, and they were so different in type. I mean, the Queen experience was inspirational and tragic at the same time, and very difficult because of the situation in my life with my partner at that time. Aretha Franklin, it was just a dream come true, and she'd actually asked me at 20 to write and produce something, at which point I'd actually chickened out and said I really couldn't do it. It was just too overwhelming for me. I'd only produced, I think at that point, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. And the idea of sitting and telling Aretha what to do, or would you do that again, please, was not really, you know, and I still didn't have to say 4 years later, but that's why I had someone else produce it and someone else write it. It was still out of fear. But Aretha was an amazing experience. Every one of them has been fantastic, and the public seem to enjoy it. So. And there are still a few more to come, hopefully.
Okay, this woman here in the front row, let's give her credit. She's kept her hand up all the time.
It's a short reach. George, hello, it's Julia Cutler, I'm freelance. I wanted to ask you, these dates go up to April. Are you thinking you'll do the Olympic opening ceremony, the big show here next year?
Well, the dates don't actually go up to April. What we've got is a series of dates that start before, probably in the last week of August. Is it the last week of August, finalised, he says? Last week of August, and they're working me right up to Christmas. The last show is, I think, booked on the 22nd of December, 4 Earls Court, and apparently I can do some more if I want, but I might be very knackered by then. And then I'm taking a break to finish the studio album, and then on April the 29th next year we're hoping to play, well, we will be playing at the the Opera House in Paris, which has never been a pop venue before, so I'm very excited about that. It's probably the most beautiful opera house in the world. So that will be probably kicking off the second leg of the tour, but the second leg of the tour is not finalised, but will probably be very extensive and cover other areas of the world. What was the other part of the question you didn't ask?
I was asking whether you'd be doing something for the Olympic opening ceremony, the big show next year, because they look, you know, it will be big British names.
I'd love to, no one's asked me. I would imagine they'll go and take that one, eh?
You could teach
Take
them
that
something.
for everyone these
Fancy
days.
joining the Take That line up for one song?
Say again?
You fancy joining the Take That line up for one song?
I think even for the Olympics that might look a bit odd.
Okay,
Thanks.
this fella here looks like he's holding his own microphone, but maybe he's holding an illicit device.
Hello George, Tom Thorogood from The Sun. I sat a few rows back from the front. Tell us a bit more about the dance music album that you've talked about. Have you got a list of collaborators who you'd like to work with? Someone like Red One seems to be bringing dance music into the mainstream quite well with Gaga.
Yeah, I love the fact that house music, which has basically been the staple of the gay world since it was invented, really. I love the fact that that has been brought into the mainstream so much by Lady Gaga and by Rihanna, funny enough, as well. And it makes for some really exciting pop records. I'm looking to work with either gay or gay-friendly artists. They don't have to be gay-friendly. And I have a few provisional titles, but basically it will be a gay collective on which some of the records are sung by myself and some of them are sung by other artists, young gay artists, possibly unknown ones. But there's some amazing material I've already got my hands on, and in collaboration with a lot of dance producers, I think it could be a stunning record. And of course, you know, at 47, by the time the album comes out, I'll be 48, you know, to a degree pop music traditionally starts to exclude you at a certain age, which is natural. Totally natural phenomenon. But in reality, gay men's relationship with dance music doesn't end at the same time as straight people's does. So I don't, I'm not really stepping into shoes just to see what it's like. I've kind of lived with that music for a long time, still a big part of my life. And I think it's only honest to make the music that you're excited by. So I hope not to be excluded, but really there'll be so many other points. There'll be a lot of lyrical importance for me in writing this next album. So it's really a matter of thinking, what can I do to contribute as a gay man? Because I have serious problem with the fact that every time I make a big mistake, every time I would let myself down, I felt definitely that I was letting young gay kids down, because they would then witness the homophobia that was thrown at me and the wording of that homophobia, the language that's legal in this country. So I like to think that life is a balance, and whenever there's something bad, there's something good you can do with it. So I have some plans to try and do things to help gay children, and I think we're notoriously bad as a community at helping our own when it comes to children, because we don't have our own children. So there are things about this next album where I'm going to try and make up for some of the damage that I've inadvertently caused just by making myself so newsworthy and putting myself on the back foot enough that I couldn't defend, or there was no room or space to defend gay children from some of that language. So I have very, very definite plans for the record outside of just what it does musically and on the dance floors and on radio.
Thank you, just here for your explanation.
George, on your Twitter page, you're saying you're working with Carla Bruni.
On the Twitter page?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you explain that, please?
Well, the thing is, Carla Bruni is the spokesperson for an amazing charity called Born Free of HIV. And it's these seem to be stunning statistics, but she assures me they're true. Because the French take care of people in terms of health so much better than most other nations, including ourselves. There were only 2 babies registered in France last year that were born with HIV, 2. And that's because of a massive treatment plan, which absolutely blew me away. When I heard about this charity, I was blown away by how logical it was and how many lives it was saving and how easily it could be done. So I immediately was interested in trying to associate the Parisian Opera House show with her charity, because most of these charities, let me make something clear, at the moment there are 4 opera houses booked. 2 of them will be for charity. The one here in the Opera House here in Covent Garden will be a charity, and hopefully in honour of Elizabeth Taylor, and making some contributions to her foundation. Because I knew her and she was such a wonderful lady, and she worked so tirelessly and completely selflessly. I'd like to pay my respects in some way. In Paris, I would imagine it will be Born Free of HIV that will be the associated charity. But the logistics of those 2 charity shows aren't finalised, so we can't actually sell tickets for those 2 yet. There are another 2 opera houses, one in Marseille and the other in Prague, which at the moment is looking like the opening show, which aren't charity venues because they're very small. But these are particular venues, very particular venues. Most of the tour is going to be in larger venues, just so I can play it to everybody, really.
Okay, let's go back in the room. I see you there. Yes, okay.
Hi, George, Lucy from Sky News. You said your rider on this tour would be quite boring. What kind of lifestyle choices and changes have you made to enable you to go on tour and to do this album? Because you're looking great.
Oh, thank you. Let me see. Well, the obvious one is well, actually, no, I'm not going to go into this. I'm not going to go into this because it will be tomorrow in the newspaper. So it's another tweet question, I'm sorry. I've got to keep it to the music. You know me, I like to talk about myself, but it's normally funnier on Twitter anyway.
Okay, so let's have one last question then, and there is someone right there. Yeah, I know you.
Lawrence Larson from Getty Images. You've said yourself that your fans will wait a very long time for you to bring out an album or go on tour. Do you think this slightly new genre of music will alienate some of your fans, or to your knowledge, do they always embrace everything that you produce?
Well, normally when I have new music, normally when I change my style in any way, it alienates some people. I'm like an old soap opera people don't want to change, don't I, really? You know, I don't take that very seriously. I think that people have to remember I'm a writer and a producer, and I'm bored to death very easily. If I don't explore different areas, then I am literally just going to repeat what I do, and I've always been afraid of that. And alienating people is not really the problem. If that had been a problem for me, I know people find it hard to believe, but I really honestly could write much, much more straightforward pop songs. I would know how to appeal to my 80s audience entirely if I wanted to. And to some degree, some of the album that's coming up does that, but then again it gives them lyrics that are gay enough that will probably alienate some of them. Do you know what I'm saying? I tend not to take the easy road, otherwise it just seems to be pointless. But yeah, alienation, I think that goes on in all kinds of ways. I think for all the good fortune I have, I don't think anyone can dispute that I've made myself some pretty strong enemies in the past, and I've put myself in positions where I am going to alienate people. But ultimately, one, I have to be inspired by the music I'm making, and two, I have to live the life that I believe I should live. So, in terms of alienation, I don't think that's ever been a big worry of mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us thank George Michael. Thanks for coming, everybody. See you later.
Thank you. You got your own slot? No, that's what I wish. Yeah.